money.
Nice.
All right.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
To the Already Made podcast.
Brought by Dylan and myself.
Nice. I'm glad you remembered my name, brother.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I had a thing for a little while, but
That's fine. We can be patient.
I'm glad. Yeah, we should spend more time together, man. Like, I felt like I haven't seen you in ages.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't really sat down and connected. I mean, we have our chats pretty regularly, but we're always a little bit in work mode, I think, or self-development mode, I think.
I was pretty sarcastic actually, but
Oh, okay.
we see each other quite often, and we speak a lot, which I am enjoying.
Me too, bro. Yeah. We hit some cool levels of conversation, and I must say, your articulation is.
On top of point, eh?
Yeah.
I guess that's that's in my ancient lineage, articulating. So as a respect to my forefathers, I try to do it as best as I can.
Nice. Your grandfather was
Yeah.
he spoke English.
Yes.
Nice.
But everybody had a trick back in the days in the little town. So some were doing magic, someone playing football, and he was famous for his articulation.
Oh, nice.
So people rang the bell, please, sir, just say some things. And then,
Just say something.
Yeah.
Anything, please.
So the whole town gathered in front of his front door, and then he was just okay, people, it's time. And just spoke a few sentences, and then people left.
All the girls were like, ah!
Yeah.
That's where pop stars came from. He was
Yeah,
the
man.
first original pop star.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
They all fell down. That's in front of his being.
Oh, nice. Super. That's cool, bro. Nice to see that your bloodline's pretty, got some magnificence in there.
Yeah. It's really helping my confidence actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's good that you're taking inspiration from it as opposed to being in the shadow of it. Because I think a lot of people can be like, fuck.
Yeah, it's quite a pressure, and I was struggling in my whole life, to kind of deal with that pressure, because most people know about him, and the history books are full of him. So you do always be reminded of the greatness he was. But after a while, just embrace it, and you're proud of it. And if I come somewhere, then I know I'm gonna be that guy who is connected to the main articulated,
Nice.
awesome guy from back in the days, right? But
Yeah. And I know you well. You're coming all over the place, so.
Yeah.
All right, man. Cool.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, Already Made podcast. We felt like giving kind of some insight of the whole process that me and Robert have been going through, creating this whole business together, and making it a bit more personal for you guys, and revealing to you the successes and I guess the failures. There's not really. I mean, there's disruptions. It's more just realigning to what feels better to do as opposed to something's wrong. I've never really felt like anything's gone wrong at all.
No, I agree. Actually, yeah. We made some not mistakes, I would say, but some directions we were going. Also, the people we were working together with.
Mm-hmm.
We found out eventually that was not matching with where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
So it is kind of making distinctions in people we want to work together with and directions we want to follow, right?
Yeah, and it's nice because the contrast of that has refined that for sure. So it feels necessary to have had those people in here to see where's exactly the sweet spot for us to progress forward. So yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, with a project like this, I mean, we can explain a little bit what we're trying to do here.
No, we don't need to do that.
Okay.
No,
figure out themselves.
Yeah. We'll just be cryptic about it and see if they can put the pieces together. Yeah.
What do you guys think we're doing?
Yeah.
Maybe we can give some cryptical words, and they can
Yeah.
So it's all about these three words. I'm gonna say one, then Dylan's gonna say the other one, and then we'll finish it up with a word that's really representing this place. So I would say it's about air. It's pretty specific already. That's pretty specific.
It's about air. Like you put cryptic on cryptic. Don't
Yeah.
Nice. I would say it is definitely about water.
And about but this, if I say this, then it probably will be revealed completely, but
Oh, you don't want to give it away.
I want to
But maybe.
relieve the tension, so I will say it's also about stone.
Yeah. Jeez.
The-
You like revealed the whole plot to the movie essentially.
Yeah.
So. All right. So.
yeah, we're always looking for harmony, right? So
Yeah.
friction is good, but also good to come back to harmony.
It's how good music is made. Tension and release. Tension and release.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, as you guys have guessed, we're all about supporting creatives, housing them and facilitating them, and giving them an opportunity to further flourish in what they're trying to create, and also to have a community that will help them develop in their blind spots. And yeah, so we're working together to. Well, there's so many different areas of it, but that's at least like the initial motivation for us was to have a space that we can, yeah, further cultivate ourselves as people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, like two essential parts of that of their focus is growth and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come to this place, you feel like I'm actually in an environment of growth, and there's so many creative outlets and other artists and entrepreneurs and other creatives you can connect with. So that really is boosting the vibes of creativity. So I would say growth and creativity,
Mm-hmm.
which concretely showed itself right now here in the building, which is a 4 floor building with like an atelier where clothes are being made. We got a therapy room where some healing occurs. We got a music studio where we are in present right now, and we got a huge loft where all kinds of events can happen. A big roof terrace where you can chill, where you can barbecue, where you can sit in the jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi. Ja. It's like a god in
Yeah.
Rastafari, right? It's a jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi, man.
Yeah.
Jacuzzi. Yeah, for sure.
Praise.
So it's very much a multifunctional space, and I think a big part of us being here has been figuring out what this space really wants to be, and it doesn't really feel limited in any way, but we have kept coming back to a certain essence that we're trying to allow more of. So yeah, because it's just very open, and it's very, yeah.
Yeah, so the beauty is about a multifunctional building is there's a lot of potential. And we really want to keep that potential open, because if you limit the stream of creativity too much, then the highest possible outcome is not really nourished, I would say. So it's cool to keep the potential open and to keep space for whatever wants to happen, but it also is sometimes challenging in the sense of navigating where the concept wants to move towards.
Mm-hmm, exactly. But it is funny because there is a subtle like refinement of what's serving the space but not containing it within a box so that it can't be what it wants to be. For example, like we had the people come in here and there were some people that just didn't necessarily, I guess it's like a feeling of contribution, like because a big thing for us is like a win-win, so it's serving all parties at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't necessarily matter how that wants to manifest itself, but as long as everything's fueling, so it's like a self-fulfilling cycle, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So the focus is actually on the energy behind it,
Yeah.
on like the vision, on the frequency, without being too spiritual.
Too late.
That we want to honor, and keeping true to that, and see from there what wants to be created. Also, like event-wise, we had like tango lessons here already. We want to do more private dining, chillings, live concerts. But yeah, there still feels like even more potential that wants to be unpacked, so to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is cool also to use these talks for like And also the listeners, if we ever have a listener, how we can include them in there. It kind of would be cool to have like an interactive thing. Because if you say like we want to create like a win-win situation, it also will be cool to let that come true in everything we do. Also this, right?
Nice, exactly.
So
Yeah.
how can people who potentially are ever going to listen to this, how they can benefit?
Yeah.
And how can maybe they benefit to the space directly as well?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
That'd
Nice.
be
So
really
that's
cool.
expanding the community outside of just the space itself.
Yeah.
Because that is a thing as well. It is a temporary space for us. We only have this for so long. But the essence of the idea that we're wanting to create, it's nice to see how that can expand beyond just this space. So
Nice.
that's quite cool, yeah, to utilize this whole podcast to reach way more people and
Nice, yeah.
hop on the idea.
Yeah, and also like an open call, I would say, for people listening to this. Like, hey, we are the first ones. If you ever have a cool idea, to make those ideas come to life.
Yeah, nice.
You know, like Kanye West has a famous song. Maybe not famous. Like maybe every Kanye West song is famous.
To
But,
you, yeah.
He's got one song. It's called "Come to Life," where he says often in that lyric, "Did those ideas ever really come to life?" And it's a waste if we're like old and we thought like, oh, we had so many cool ideas, but nothing really happened to kind of realize like, hey, wait, we can do those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have people supporting those ideas. And actually, we have got a really cool physical place now as well that can support those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's just up to you to make that come alive, right?
Definitely.
So,
And the thing I find as well is that there's so many areas to life and many things to be aware of and be intentional with. Because if you start getting loose with certain areas, then it affects everything else. So, yeah, like I know I was listening to something earlier about how when we're on our phones so much, it's hitting our dopamine receptors like crazy. And then it kind of demotivates us, or it doesn't make us as sensitive to the extravagance of just something like going for a walk, right? And because we're just not that interested in it, because the dopamine is like the wanting to do something. And they're saying like if Shakespeare or someone like that back in the day had something like TikTok, like would he have ever written those great ideas? Because his dopamine would just be flushed out like crazy.
That's sick.
Yeah. So that's also something that I like to see more in this place for myself, is having that support to address these small little actions that we're doing in our day to day and how that's disrupting us from achieving what we want. Because I definitely see that within myself. Like I'm still scrolling on my phone here and there, and I can see how that affects my day to day, and then I'm just not really excited about the things I actually want to do because I'm tapped out.
Yeah, because the dopamine is already used in a way.
Exactly.
Like you're addicted to the dopamine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why this is cool, I guess, too. Like the podcast where you really intentfully do something. Maybe it would also be cool to, like when we're working here, like put so much intent in there that we like shut off our phones and just like really fully engage in whatever we want to create, right?
Yeah.
Because there was something like romantic about just walking the beach or sitting in a subway or speaking to someone and boom, the idea pops in. And like, oh yeah, this is my life's purpose right now. But if I speak to creatives, then it's also about like just scheduling the time and getting rid of distractions and actually just start, you know.
Yeah.
Just start writing, start recording, and see from there what wants to happen, right?
Right. Exactly.
So kind of like creating that environment for creativity to really flourish.
Right.
And I think the phone is really like a big distraction in that.
Like crazy, man.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's also like Rick Rubin as well. He's creating the conditions for artists to really flourish. And he does that by completely painting the walls white every time a new artist come in.
Yeah,
Take no paintings, no nothing, so it's just clear and fresh. And obviously we're a big advocate of him and his ideas because they make a lot of sense to us. And yeah, I'd really like to follow more in that. And a big part of why I want to do the Man's Group as well. So there's just that accountability and that support. So there's just less and less opportunity to go off the track, you know. But they really need to be refined, because otherwise, if it's a little bit loose, then it's like, I'll just 10 minutes. I'll just look at some bullshit, and then you feel like shit.
Yeah, it actually would be a cool idea for this place, right? To create intentional moments more. So also for creativity, right? That we actually like have an event where people can come by and the phone you should leave in the kitchen.
Yeah, nice.
And just like focus, you know, for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing about coming together. Is I go to the gym often. In COVID, I was realizing how cool actually the gym is. There's like kind of like a negative association with gym often, or by some people I know. They rather go for a run by themselves, or they think like looking in the mirror while lifting your weight is a bit really cool. But like coming together in like a focused energy is so powerful. So if you go to the gym and everyone is focused on like training,
Right.
it's so motivating for yourself to also just tune in and embrace and connect with that energy that's already going on there, right?
Right. It's utilizing the whole product of your environment.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really being the inspiration. Like, I'm really doing my best to lead myself and create those environments.
It's difficult.
It's very difficult. Yeah, it's challenging to create, but I think it is like just to do it on your own, regardless of the environment, is difficult. But if you can set the environment in a way that there's just no question, like it doesn't make sense to do it otherwise. Like if you want to go and look at your phone, then you go out the building essentially.
Yeah, that's dope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to have that kind of essentially strictness or sternness with that of like, nah.
That's dope, actually. Yeah. Yeah, we should do that here. Like, for example, now the sun is shining so bright. What if we just have like 2 hours sitting here on the rooftop with a group of people, phones leaving in the kitchen, and write or do something you would love to do, right?
Nice.
Record something, they lay in the sun with like a special intention, but just like come together with a very, very focused intention.
Nice.
That would be so cool, actually, yeah.
For sure.
And I love like to creating environments where it's a little bit different than normal. So for example, if we all go in the sun right now, that like heat is also activating like a different part of your creativity, I would say. Yeah. I was just sitting in the car and it was so hot in the car, but the sweat and like the heat was kind of like making me available to like a different realm of thinking and consciousness because it was so warm.
Nice.
But I did like open the window a little bit, but I felt like, oh, the sweat actually, like it really gives me this summer association, which kind of allowed me to tune into like more summerish thinking as well.
Nice.
So it's kind of cool to like just sit in the sun outside and create there as a change to if you normally ride in the subway or ride in your room or whatever, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And if we're all like sharing that environment, I think it can be cool to see what comes out of there.
Nice. Yeah, and we've talked about this a lot, but it does start with us just doing that and just setting those like that's why I really feel like scheduling these things makes a huge difference.
Nice.
And I think if we'd even as you add more people, that energy gets compounded on.
Nice.
But yeah, it's really setting up because there's no one really else here during the days. Like the artists come in during the evening, sometimes they book it out, but yeah, we have to lead that as the way of like what's the normal base when there's not events and stuff happening, when spaces aren't being used, like what is the baseline of what this place is.
Nice. Yeah, that is the start, I think, indeed. And I'm already thinking like, but we should have more people, and if we just do this, then we still not really including other people or like actively searching for other people to join that space. But maybe that will come naturally. But I still find it a difficult thing. Like we feel the potential of a thing like this, and we feel also like how much it can benefit people we have around us. But still, like it seems people are hesitant to really join into that vibration or to the intentful like space we want to create.
Yeah, and I feel like the reason for that is because there's not necessarily a clear example. Like actions are speaking way louder. So it's not a case of like us going to people, but hey, check what we're doing, come, which has been very much the approach. But to rather just let how this space is impacting us speak for itself.
Nice.
You know, because then we're going out in the world nourished from this space, and people will respond to that of like, hey, what have you been doing? It's like, well, let me tell you about it. Or actually, let me show you. That's a different vibe, because for sure, I've been inviting so many people, and it's very... for me, it's like an of course opportunity, but I think it is down to living it more, living the ideal.
Yeah, that's the thing. and that's more like the long-term focus. That's not like an instant gratification, like, oh, we have all those people here, it's happening.
Yeah, it's an
It's more
investment.
like, yeah, it's an investment in yourself, and eventually that will show in you attracting also others into it.
Yeah.
And that's the way to go, and that's like not like a TikTok dopamine hit you get straight away from, like, everybody's coming here and we're creating like such a dope thing instantly.
Yeah.
It is more like the long run, more like devotion, and really like showing to yourself
Yeah.
that you live like that, right?
Right. And then if that attracts an initial group of people, then it becomes a thing of like fear of missing out for people. Like, oh, I want to join that. And it's not just a, like you say, a dopamine fix of like, let's have a party or something like that. Not to say that we don't like to celebrate. Hell yeah, we like to celebrate. But then it's like, oh, I want to join this. And the thing that they want to join is something that's beneficial for them, nourishing for them.
Yeah. Cool.
But that's where we have to activate that will of yours and me to, yeah, just make that happen. And
Dope.
yeah, it's just being clearer. Yeah, I think every now I think I can be a bit judgmental of myself when I feel that not happening. But if I'm looking at it from a brighter perspective, it's more a case of like, if I'm feeling off, then it's just, again, a refinement of like, no, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Like, because I have moments of inspiration and then I move, like bursts, and then I start to slow down again.
Yeah.
So so it's finding out how to keep that consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like that's okay, let me rephrase that, but I think it's cool that we are in this together, you know? So at least we're not by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we got each other.
Yeah.
So that's at least a starting point we have. And we are good in keeping each other accountable, I feel, because we did create already quite a lot here. And
It's crazy, bro, actually, what we
Yeah.
have created. It's impressive, to be fair. So.
nice. And that also came really due to accountability. I do feel like we have been telling each other the truth often, and we're not shying away from that. So we not really in a pleasing mode towards each other, which is cool. So we can continue this focus between you and me, and actually be even more accountable to each other.
Right.
And like really schedule, like what we just said, like intentful working periods where we just sit and like create and like really keep each other accountable in showing up and sitting the whole session through. You know? And I think that's both what we're longing for, this determination, this real intense focus on what we deeply desire, right? So we still got reflections. For example, I've been trying to get a cleaner here in the building, and the first cleaner I had, she cancelled 3 times the last weeks because she was feeling sick. I finally found like a new cleaner, and she cancelled today 20 minutes before she was coming here because she had a double meeting. So that kind of like lack of intention, and of course maybe she had like really good reasons, so I don't want to judge here, but coming from like my own desire, I really want to have like this showing up energy, this accountable energy.
Yeah.
And I really like having the discipline. And I can see also with friends, if we have challenges in training, then it's so much more easier to do it together and have the challenge together instead of like just by yourself, right?
Right, for sure, yeah.
So maybe we can agree now, and I'm already feeling excited to finish this podcast and go to work, for example, to like sit down and really like focus, and like you're not allowed to go out.
Nice.
Only if you're like your heart is stopping beating, you know.
Yeah.
And to
So we're just gonna live the rest of our lives in that container, is what you're saying? Yeah.
I mean, like until the 2 hours are done or something. You know?
No, I feel you. Yeah.
And that's the thing with discipline, right? What we spoke about earlier as well in former conversation, that discipline is, it's not about disciplining yourself per se. It's really feeling or refocusing on what you truly want. And if you really agree on that in yourself and you have that clear, then you do have to focus on that. You keep focusing on that because there's so many distractions in the world, right? Right. So then it is showing discipline in regards of attention. So then you really have to do the work if you actually convince if that's what you want.
Right.
So it's not about like taking cold showers every day or like running every day or like really disciplining yourself to be the best human you can be, but really feel what you want and then stay true to that and actually preach or like do what you preach.
Nice.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
Jah.
To jacuzzi.
Then you can celebrate in the jacuzzi afterwards.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, work hard, play hard. Yeah, nice, man. Well said, actually. Yeah, and I totally feel that of like trying to be better by like doing these small things when all those things that you want, like more confidence, to be disciplined, to yeah, it's all a byproduct of focusing on the main goal, and to really have that clear for yourself is, yeah, then it makes you unshakable in a sense. Like you're just running through walls to get to where you're going. And it doesn't matter. Then the suffering and the pain isn't an issue anymore. Like I talked to a friend of mine who did a marathon maybe a couple months ago, and he says how he was like experiencing so much pain like towards the end of it, but he didn't suffer because it was something, because it was where his excitement was. Like this is what he loved to do.
Nice.
So it's like the pain was like it didn't disturb him. And yeah, because for most it's like if you just want to, I don't know, yeah, be a better runner, you want to be able to run to the point where it's not really hurting anymore. Then as soon as you experience pain, you're off the track again.
Yeah, we have both been reading this book called The Value Factor, or at least I'm still reading it. And that is when you reconnect, I would say, to that most deep, authentic desire of value you have within you, then it's such a relief as well, because all other bullshit can fall away. And it's such a homecoming feeling. Like you don't have to please your father, which is like a stereotype thing to say, but it actually that was still happening in my life as well. You don't have to compare yourself to others or friends who are more successful, or the shoots that society tell you. It's really like, oh, I can really be me, you know. I can really, like, the deep desire I have within me, I can create an environment that I can only be focusing on that. And of course you can readjust some things in your life to get there, but the recognition and the action is such a relief, you know. It's such a powerful reconnecting act to do, you know. And that for me was like really, really helpful to really feel like, I now am clear on what I really want, and I'm gonna design my life fully to those values,
Right.
to those desires,
Right.
and to those activities. And then indeed, like, discipline comes natural, because there's nothing more you want to do, right?
For sure.
And that,
Yeah, it just gets developed along the way.
nice.
Yeah, and then it's natural. Then you're not focusing on all these small little things. Yeah, it's nice, man. That's a good way to put it. Nice.
Yeah, so what are we gonna do? What's next? What is, if we connect to that deepest desire within us? What wants to happen, you know? What wants to... I think it's always like a match between what is very exciting within yourself and what's needed in the world, you know? What's the world waiting for? What is like a frustration or an opportunity that's out there, you know? So it's really cool to connect those in your own being, and to feel like, this is what the world is lacking, and that is my deepest desire, to give that to the world, right? Or to create an event that's in line with that. And luckily, let's say it like that, luckily the world is still pretty fucked up, you know. So from this regard, like, it's,
we have something to do.
Yes. I really think that it's true that there's so much improvement that can happen, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much frustration, there's so much things that not going as harmonious or awesome as they can be. So there's so much potential in that too, you know, to actually come up with stuff that are actually, I don't want to use the word enlightening people, but like inspiring people, you know.
Yeah, nice, man.
So what do you feel is like the biggest frustration in society?
In society?
Or like in your environment, let's say, because then we make it more personal.
Well, I feel the biggest disturbance for people just comes down to a lack of stillness.
Mm.
a lack of getting in touch with what you are and being able to discern what is you and what's not,
That's dope. Yeah,
to
yeah,
discern what's a thought and what's your actual experience in the moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because we're just constantly looking through all these lenses all the time, which then distort the way that we perceive reality from a biased point of view. And to be able to regularly step out of that and into the obviousness and already perfectness of what is, like, it's right there. But it is something that has to be released into, because we've accumulated so many layers of like, oh, this is like knowledge and information of like how the world works, and that's cool and fun to play with. But when it's solidified as a truth, I feel like it takes us away from the potential, the space which all those ideas come out of.
Mm.
So it's like looking at the branches of the tree as opposed to what is the root of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like, I feel like at some point, like, meditation will become as obvious as brushing your teeth in the morning. Like, even like 10 minutes, just like, whoa, coming back to God, void, space, universe, whatever you want to call that. These terms are always very tricky because there's already an identification with that of like what that is.
Mm.
And
Yeah, maybe yourself, like,
yeah.
or though there's like a big identification on that too. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so what I hear you saying is, in your environment, you see a lot of distractions,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people like don't have the focus
No, yeah.
because they're too distracted, and that's why the path is lacking
Mm-hmm.
of their stillness, of their truth, of their fullest expression.
Yeah, it's
So
the
that's
dopamine fix, essentially.
yeah,
And
what
all
we
these
started
things.
this conversation with, right?
Mm.
So that's super cool. If that's like a frustration, which I think is definitely true, to create an environment here of like so much focus and precision and stillness. Not it has to be like a monastery here where everybody is quiet all the time, but you
Right.
can feel when you enter the building. We talked about this before. There's like a pristine, cleanness present, where you can fully step into that stillness
Mm-hmm.
and from there create.
Right.
So it's really cool to take that frustration of distraction and like create the opposite here
Right.
of like full focus space.
But
And
it is very nuanced. That's the interesting thing about it. Of like, because that can easily turn into an action of trying to get to that, right? And that's again kind of using a thought to get rid of a thought. And yeah, to really get in touch with that does require moments of letting go. So this is where I find the trying to discern the difference between action and well, yeah, where's action coming from? Is it coming from a lack, essentially, or a sense of fulfillment? Because usually we're doing things, at least the tendency in our society is that we're doing things from a state of, oh, I don't have enough, or it's not quite ready yet, or like it's not good as it is. So we're basically judging reality. We're judging God. We're judging creation as like, there's a problem here and I need to do something about it. Which is true in a sense, but you can't change something from the same energy or level that it's been created from. The Einstein quote. You have to come already from already come from the space of like, oh, it's actually great as it is. And then that creates inspired action as opposed to problematic one. So again, going back to the values factor book, like he's always finding a neutral standpoint of everything. Like if there's a problem and you don't like what you're doing, okay, how is it actually serving your highest value? So it's gaining a new perspective on the things that are causing you tension within yourself and seeing that from a already complete perspective, a perfect perspective, and then that allows for space for it to be of service, I suppose.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's like an individual recognition that contrast is not a contrast. So the contrast you experience in yourself, like there's indeed already like the already made space within yourself, like the fulfillment within yourself, like that easy flow that creatives want to follow. And the contradictionary energy in there as well, in a human being as well, is of like I should do this and like I don't have enough, so I have to push myself towards a direction, right?
Right. Yeah.
That contradiction is um, is what humans are, you know.
Right.
So it's kind of like accepting that contradiction and not letting the ego, let's say, follow the way, um, but embrace that whole picture and from there create. Um, so concretely, I still think if we create like a space, very focused space here, that's coming from the right energy, then yeah, we can do it like in a structured way.
Mm-hmm.
To have like 2 hours of fully focused work environment, of creating a fully focused work environment for people to come into and do their thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But I do feel that as the foundation. At least for me, it's very much a foundation of like setting your sails in the right direction. And that's where I do find the meditation such a key aspect for me personally. I mean, everyone works differently, so I can't really speak for everyone. But it makes the most sense because then you're not disturbed by limitation, because a thought is a limitation. It's only a small perspective of the totality, right? Because we're trying to understand how the world works, and we create all these little pieces, and then we're trying to put it together. But if you didn't separate it to begin with, then it's already complete. And in order to, you can't know that, but it's sensed within you. So there has to be a releasing of that. And when you trust that, so that's the development of trust as well. Like, can you fully release yourself and trust that you are taken care of, well, by yourself? Like, and for me, like, yeah, having a relationship with God totally serves that. And yeah, that's something to only be experienced. But yeah, I feel like that's totally necessary.
Yeah, so how would you like provide that service to others? You cannot really
sit
like
down, shut up,
yeah.
shush, shush. Yeah, just every.
So-
I'll be like monks in the monastery, bro, with like a little stick, just tapping people on the head. Tapping. We don't do abuse here. But then again, we want to do some mixed martial arts, so maybe we can start working with some staffs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, what I think is cool is like there are a lot of people out there and who are not per se interested in spiritual concepts, you know.
Well,
and
sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, meditation is like a very internal process, right? You will have to have your own dedication towards it
Mm-hmm.
to gain the benefits from that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're gonna preach meditation, we cannot fix another person to do that, or we're gonna force another person to do that. What you just said, right?
Yeah.
So it is cool, I think, to create projects and to create events and to create like intentional environment, also physically, that is a representation of meditation. So if we create an environment here of that stillness, and stillness doesn't mean per se being
Like quiet and dead.
you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's more like a focused energy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's meditation, just focusing on the truth, right? On that flow, on that creativity, on that aliveness, on that purity, on that like individual connection towards yourself. So the cool thing is about this place, I would say, to create an environment that's fully felt like meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice, exactly. So then every action is coming from that space already. Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally.
And that feels so much more cool because that also feels more like subtle
Mm-hmm.
than, for example, doing e-commerce now that we're gonna provide meditation
Packages.
programs
Yeah,
and events per se. You know, come
Yeah.
sit here and meditate. That
Nice,
made
nice. Yeah.
can be cool one day as well, but I think it will be even more cool to create an environment that represents that, right? And what you said, very importantly, to be a representation ourselves of that, which I can still grow a lot in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think if you following that through, the truth, and also if you feel that frustration of distraction in our environment, we combine those two in this place. From there, we can create like really cool stuff.
Meditative action.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and then like the simple idea what we just had, like sitting together for 2 hours and focus on your work, can be like a concrete small example of doing that, right?
Yeah, nice.
Us every day coming together and work for 2 hours in silence without a phone.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to start with from tomorrow, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that we should definitely implement that. But nice. I think what's funny as well that I'm also understanding more is the diversity of human beings. Like what works for one is totally doesn't necessarily work for another. And it's funny how, especially in this personal development side and trying to offer people certain things, everyone's just working very differently and tailored very differently. Because I almost feel like what's meditative for you is what you focusing on your value, and that's kind of your meditation, so to speak. Which is, I feel like helping people to align and figure out what it is that is most important to them brings them into that space of inspired creativity. And I feel like also by focusing on that, that does begin to take you on the journey of shedding away all the layers that aren't true, or the beliefs and ideas that you have that hold you back from fully going towards that, and I do just feel the cleanness of the space, because that's what we walked into essentially, and I feel like honoring that is the most igniting thing that we could do for people. It's like just bring them to themselves. Like you don't need to add on all these things, which I find myself getting into the trap of a little bit, because there is two sides of like, oh, I want to do all these things, but it can very quickly turn into like, oh, I want to do this because I want to be better. So like, because there's something I'm not quite happy with or satisfied with. And instead focusing on like, no, just what do you just love? What is thrilling for you? What's exciting? And feeding that in people and recognizing that and be like, awesome, nice. But then also being sincere enough and willing to point out when people are coming from a space of, oh, I need to because I need to get something from it. Because that's a tricky one for us, because that's when the energy starts to go down in people and the motivation starts to fade away. And then you need like to watch motivational videos to keep yourself going. And that's something Dr. D. Martini talks about in the book as well. There's a difference between motivation and inspiration, because it's inspiration. It's natural. Like if you really love something, you don't have to be told to do it. You just do it. And seeing what that is for everyone around you and pointing at that and celebrating that ignites people.
Dope. Yeah.
Which is then why I really like spending time with you, because you do have a good way of dissecting people a little bit through your curiosity and finding out where those sparks are.
Nice.
And
yeah, and if you hit that sweet spot in people where you can reconnect them to their highest values and to their most natural expression and to the highest excitement, that's such a cool energy to be around with, right? So if you have like an environment we have here and we can spark that in people, that will be that's super cool.
For sure. Imagine just a bunch of inspired people all over the place. Every room you go into is like, hey, I'm doing this. It's like, yes, fucking cool, nice. All right, this is a lot of energy. I'm gonna go next door, like and then these people are like, yeah, we're doing this. It's like, okay, cool. Like that would be awesome. Like just such an aliveness, but a pure, like untainted aliveness, just fresh. Like wow, cool. With no meaning necessarily, not even necessarily a purpose. I think purpose in a way can be. This might be a what do you call it? Unpopular opinion, but maybe purpose is very overrated. Like to try to box in what you're most excited about, you're totally limiting it. It's like, no, you don't necessarily need to know it. It's just trusting the feeling. At least that's what works best for me. But then I say that, and No, that is what works
oh.
best for me. The thing that gets me off is when I try to like, okay, I feel this, I need to remember this. It's like, how could you forget? How could you possibly forget what's obvious to you?
Yeah, there's a lack of trust in there, right? If you,
Yeah,
what you said earlier, really trust, then you don't have to remember anything, right?
for sure.
So, yeah, man, that would be super cool if it's like full on aliveness here, fresh. I love the word fresh as well.
Yeah.
Like if you step into a building, like imagine like what I already feel here actually, but imagine even more. Like you step into this building, and you feel like an environment of freshness, like. And that's why I love that it's multifunctional, this building, because it keeps open the swimming pool of potential, right?
Nice.
The jacuzzi of potential, and the freshness. That's so cool. And it can be like in a conversation. It can be in something you're recording, something you write, something you visualize on your laptop, whatever it is, you know. But that freshness is so cool. And then the question is how to create an environment like that. And then, like us personally are important in that, because people will feel that. You feel that in a person if person is like open for that. So the work is definitely in ourselves.
Yeah.
But also in the physical space, I feel.
Yeah.
Like every metric of life is part of that.
Yeah.
So the physical space, and luckily we have like a luxurious building which already has a cleanness and freshness to a high standard, you know.
Yeah, nice.
But for example, like the garden now, it looks still also due to my cigar that burned the grass.
Yeah, that was mad. Full on bonfire up here. So.
It feels not fresh, you know.
Yeah.
So it's also cool to have that perspective of freshness that we want to see, also just to easily fix or easily continue in everything we do, right?
Nice.
Then everything is super clean, super fresh, super sparking of aliveness, and we bring in some attributes or art that are representing that as well, you know.
Yeah.
Like look from that eye, from that point of view, also to the physical space.
Nice. And I feel like the best approach for that tends to be just the small step. Like just do the one small thing and keep that consistent, rather than having like, oh, this and this and this and this and this, because there's always room for improvement. And also important for us to continue to recognize actually a lot of what we want is already the case. Actually, it really is. We just see where because it is what it is, we now see like what's the next level of that, and we're trying to constantly tune into like what's the next. But I think in terms of action, like it's just very simple, like just very like just subtle, like again, like okay, meeting once a week, let's just sit down for 2 hours and just write like what are we doing, and
Nice.
allow space for the juices to come up, rather than have like, okay, quickly try and figure out a defined path that we're going to take. It's like, no, let's take time for ideas to just swim around.
Nice.
And Ja will be on our side.
Ja be waiting there.
Ja will be waiting there.
Yeah, and I want to add also to the freshness, to the word.
Yeah, you got a contribution for it?
Huh?
You got a contribution for the word freshness?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I'm excited.
And that is the word stone. No, joking.
Okay, I thought you were going to say ass.
Yeah. That's the word desire. That's one of my favorite words as well, because desire can be tainted in a negative way, and like in Buddhist teaching, for example, that desire is the cause of all suffering. But desire is also like the main essence of existence, right? So in the freshness and cleanness of this building and environment, to also have like the natural desire, like this, when you step in, you feel like a desire to create, right? Like a desire for something new that wants to be born here, desire to meet someone here that you haven't met before, and it was actually the right person at the right timing, you know, this desire of going forward. I think that's cool also that we every day talk about how to improve, and not from like a place of like it's missing, but like there's so much more we can do, right?
Right.
And that's such a cool perspective to have. Like, fuck, there's so much possible, and that fills me up with potential. Like, oh, there's the desire to be better every day, and
But that's the point to stick with, of the feeling and the vibration of that in you, and staying true to that and honoring that, and not getting caught up in the action. And I mean, getting caught up in it doesn't mean don't take action. It's just let that move you to what's obvious to do.
yeah,
And when I say that, I point that at myself, because that's what I really need to remind myself, because the inspiration's there, and then there's suddenly like almost like a need to make it happen. So there's desire and need, and I think that the nuance between the two of those are very important to differentiate. Because
yeah, but it's feelable, at least for me, you know.
yeah,
Like when you take a deep breath, you feel like, oh, life is freaking awesome. There's like a desire to experience in
Mhm.
general, right? Desire just to taste everything and to feel everything and to make love to existence itself.
I thought there was a bit of a sexual connotation when you said desire. I was like, that's pretty sexual.
Yeah.
But I like it.
But also with women, that's so cool, right? If you have a woman you desire so much, you want to know what she thinks, you want to taste all different flavors that comes out of her. But I mean, there's a desire to fully embrace every single aspect of a human being, you know?
Yeah.
And it can be like a nasty kind of like consuming energy in there, but that's not what I meant, you know. It's more
No,
like a
no,
natural
no.
desire.
It wasn't. That was not the thing that made me laugh.
Okay.
It was more, yeah, the image that kind of conjures up in you. But fair, man. I love how open you are to fully embracing women in totality.
Exactly like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
a beautiful song a guy sings about. Like he's not obsessed, but he's like so longing for intimacy with a woman that he wants to know what she thinks when she lays in bed at night, you know. But he sings it in a very, not like in a stalking way, but in a very appreciative way, which is really cool. Like, I want to be so intimate with you. I want to like really get to know you so well that like it doesn't matter what it is inside of you. I want to experience it all.
Sure. It's not the "Hey little girl, is your daddy
Yeah.
home?" No, I know it's not that one. I think I remember which one you're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, and then also money comes in, eh? And following the desire, that's like the stereotype thing to say. If you follow that desire, money will come.
But it's been very evident for us in this case. Like,
yeah, but I do want to earn more money.
no, I get you. But like, I think again, we have already attracted so much. Like, we've hit the base level of what we were initially aiming for. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, it doesn't mean to be complacent and get stuck with where we're at.
Yeah.
But I think also acknowledging that we have already done that, that brings you back to that feeling of like, oh yeah, money is coming in. Like, money is there. And then that energy itself allows that to continue to move forward. Like, oh, that's the obvious.
Yeah.
The obviousness of it.
That one thing, but also the second thing is, I think, to connect your desire or that aliveness, that freshness, like also concretely with the idea of earning money. So, for example,
Sure.
what would you do with like earning 10,000 euros a month more? What then will be sparked within you? So
Nice.
then, if I have like 10,000, then there's so many cool ideas and people I can support. You know,
Mm-hmm.
then that gives me the freedom even more to really create, support, give to people and to projects. So if for me it really helps to concretely write down what I would do with more money.
Nice. Yeah.
To kind
Not
of
just to have money, but like, what is the purpose of it?
yeah,
Yeah,
and there's
nice,
like a
yeah.
purpose behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You like the word purpose, eh? I don't know if it's more the purpose in life, it's something else. But like indeed, if you have that clear, then you can like earning money becomes part of your values, right? And earning money becomes way more natural to you because it's part of your deepest desire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I've got my deepest desire and purpose I'm
Yeah.
I'm following, but it's
Mm.
also like money is fully included in that, because that is aliveness that you're looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Money equals aliveness. Money equals freshness. Money
Nice.
equals creativity and dope stuff.
Nice. And dope stuff. Just put that in there as well.
Yeah.
But nice. Yeah, I like it. Then it's like money's riding on the train of purpose,
Yeah.
which is nice, as opposed to, okay, this is what I want to do, and I also need money.
Exactly.
Because then it's two different ball games, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
not put all these things into one category, and then they just together,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Which reminds me of a guy, maybe I told you this before, that I met in Costa Rica, and I was wearing a pants, and he came to me and said, "Oh,
Thank God.
Huh?
Thank God you're wearing pants.
But apparently I was wearing a cool pants in his eyes. He said, "Oh, the pants looks really money, man."
Uh-huh.
So like his association with money was equal to dopeness or like coolness or
Nice, nice, yeah.
awesomeness, right? So for me, that kind of was cool, because then the money word becomes something most alive, most cool, most awesome.
Nice, yeah.
So maybe we can I can start with like using the word money also more for when things are really awesome.
Nice.
Oh, whoa, you hit a beat? Oh, the beat is money, man. You know?
Nice.
It's not about like it's gonna make money, it's gonna be a hit, but no, it's just awesome because it's awesome by itself.
Right, yeah, nice. Could make sense. Maybe that's why you get these gangster rappers who was like money, money, money. It's because like, yeah, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so it's a
That's my
different perspective.
deepest meditative stillness truth.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, just sitting there in the
Money.
infinity of everything, and I just see a big wad of cash just
Yeah.
floating. Money.
Oh, dope would it be if you have like these affirmations you tell yourself in meditation to connect to that stillness within yourself, like
Yeah.
money, money,
Yeah, yeah.
money.
I am money.
Yeah.
Money is all there is. The essence of life is money.
Money.
Money made me.
I am money.
I give praise to money every day.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like I am money, and to really feel that.
I am money. Yeah, fair. That's pretty dope, actually. That's
Mhm.
quite a funny feeling.
I am money. Wow. Because if you is the most awesome thing there is, because you're like truth, right? Not like from a personal identity focus, but more like if you is the most cool thing there is on a deeper level, then that is money, right? So I am money connects to your true self.
Nice. And you're actually being like, you're being grateful for yourself, or you're complimenting yourself while you do it. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I am money. I am money. Yeah, I do like that. I think things like that as well, like it takes away the separation between you and what you want and the need to get there. It's like, oh no, it's already the case.
Yeah,
Already made.
Ooh.
It's just, yeah, it works differently, because then it's not really spiritual. It's just that, like, if you have that, then you're just feeling. How do you not make that sound spiritual? It's really difficult.
Try.
Cool. Yeah, if there's not an assumption that there's something outside of you, that it's away from you, and you recognize it as already being there, then it's attracting that, because everything, it is electrical signals. We are literally electricity. We are energy. Like, energy is a thing. It runs through the building, you know? And Wi-Fi is a thing. So there's signals being sent. Like, I can send a picture from my phone to the printer, and it can print out that exact thing. So stuff moves through the air. So there is attraction. There's vibrations. There's things moving. So if you're trusting in that feeling of the thing that you want already being a part of you, then that's what you experience. That's what you feel. That's what you see.
Yeah, man.
You're calling the fucking money gods. Jamani is on the way.
Yeah, what you just said was very money indeed, man. It was dope.
Nice. Yeah, you're practicing. Nice. It's very money of you to say, bro.
Because that's a spiritual concept, that we are abundance itself. So yeah, maybe a cooler way to say that is we are money itself, you know.
We are money. Yeah, I'd love to decharge the whole like these ideas being a spiritual thing, because they just don't really feel spiritual for me. It feels like just like that's how things function, and whether they do or not, I don't know. But it's a way better way to think than what I was thinking before.
Yeah. But I think an important part of not making it sound spiritual is just living it, right?
Right.
And not
Just being
talking
the
about,
example. Yeah.
talking about it too much.
Yeah. And that's what I
And
feel
it's-
we're doing, bro. I feel like we've totally been doing that.
Like talking about this now for an hour.
Yeah. For sure. Gotta shut the fuck up. Okay, gotta live it. Sit down, shut up.
Go and be it.
Go be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dope, man. And that's cool. Also with the men's group to create an environment, because we both feel that's one of our values, to create an environment of full, intentional, accountable way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think for me it's important, not just indeed like in this building and with this project, but like in life in general, like completely owning those values.
Totally.
Um,
But yeah, we have to support each other in doing that, because like wars weren't won with a single man. Like you need the tribe, you need the group, and I totally feel that. Because it's crazy out there, man. Like it's so distracting. It's they're throwing shit at you left, right, and center. Like it's literally made to take your attention and leech off of you. Not the world itself, but society itself. Like it's made to do that. Of its own ignorance. I don't think that's necessarily the intention, but I don't know. I don't know the people creating all these advertising schemes and trying to sell you all this.
they
They
do that.
they do that. They.
But who's they?
I don't know, bro. It's none of my business right now. We gotta focus on us.
So fun, like who's doing that? Yeah, they
Yeah,
doing-
these
they, man,
these
they.
people, these
I don't know,
people.
like they.
But it's true, man. It's really built to. It feels very matrixy, of like trying to use you as a battery and just take everything that you got,
Yeah,
and then just give you enough just so you can keep recharging, just so it can take a little bit more. Maybe that's a pessimistic perspective, but it's also quite an inspiring one, because then it's like, oh, nice. We need to take charge of ourselves here. We can't rely on our daddies and mummies anymore. Like we have to step up and do something about that.
Yeah, and it's such a nicer energy, or like a cooler path to walk on, is not going against that matrix system, let's say,
No.
but just like create like another system, right?
That's
why
it.
I really love like the Joe Rogan podcast, where he was talking about he had a guest over who was in prison for 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like innocent in prison for fucking 30 years. And then Joe Rogan said like, yeah, we should like politicians should be more aware of it, and we should change the politics in regards of these policies and stuff. And then the other guy said as well, yeah, we've been trying that for like 100 years, and politicians are just politicians these days, right? So it was really cool what he said. He had a plan of like not including politics, you know, just contacting business and billionaires even who resonate with the message, and just create like your own path,
Right.
and not being dependent on the system anymore,
Right.
which is very utopian maybe, but of course we're still in the system, and don't want to seclude myself from it. But like creating environments like this, it feels like we can create an environment of independence to a certain degree, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if we tune into that, then it's so much more cool to create from than like in rebellious or using an old system that's very dry and bureaucratic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a friend who is in politics, and if I hear those stories, then it's pretty discouraging,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, like why go into like a discouraging realm and trying to change that system if we can just create environments that on a lower scale for now are free from those negative
Yeah.
energies.
It's nice. I like the kind of macro micro perspective of that, because the way people tend to change habits is through like the neural connections. Like if you have a habit, you create a strong neural connection, and the way to change that is not by looking at it, but you create a whole new habit, and then that strengthens over time. And then as you're using this neural connection more, this one just starts to
Nice.
naturally fade away.
Nice.
So it's nice to see that, like, yeah, see ourselves as little like atoms in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And how that works.
That's so cool, right? Also, Jordan Peterson says about alcoholism. I said, hey, alcohol is really cool. Alcohol, like I understand you drink a lot of alcohol, but you have to create something different from that. That's actually more exciting to follow
Yeah.
than the alcohol, right?
Yeah, be addicted to something else.
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
addicted to something better that's serving you.
To jar, to desire
Yeah.
itself. Yeah, I would love to be an addict
Yeah,
to truth, you know.
nice. I definitely feel myself to be one. It's quite intense because it's confronting. Truth is very confronting. I definitely feel that, and
Nice.
takes me through a loop, often.
Nice.
But the other
Okay.
side of it's always very liberating. So,
How's the smoking book going?
good. I started it today,
Yeah, so
so I'm curious. I'm very curious of it as a experiment, because if there's a book that can help you just through words, help you totally alleviate yourself from an addiction, that's amazing. Like, that's quite revolutionary. That's quite impressive for someone who's completely addicted to something and reliant on something, and then suddenly, just by reading books, like, okay, I'm done. Like, that's crazy. So I really want to experience that. Like, it sounds mad. And then seeing how that could maybe transfer into other things as well. Because
Do you feel that's already happening? Like the book is already having an effect on you of wanting to stop smoking.
yeah, actually, it's
Yeah?
funny. Yeah, it did. Because it kind of talks about it as like, it's just very simple. Like, it's very possible. I think because it's offering the possibility that it can happen, switches that on in your own being, and it's like, oh, nice, it's possible. Cool, nice. And then you get a taste of what that could be like, of like really getting to a point where it's like, I don't ever need to touch a cigarette again. And for him, he discovered this for himself, and then his whole inspiration changed to, he went to his wife and he said, I'm gonna stop the whole world from smoking. And his wife, of course, was like, okay, yeah. Very idealistic there, very overflowing. Your head's getting a bit big. But he's apparently made a huge impact on a lot of people in a way that scientists and all sorts of people have just not been able to do. So I'm curious about that.
You have stopped for a month, right? Like the month of May,
Mm-hmm.
2023, to be
Yeah.
precise. And that went fairly easy, I would say.
It was shit.
Huh?
It was shit.
Shit.
I really didn't like it. But yeah, easy.
But does it start with like a desire? Like, do you have to have the desire to stop? Because it feels like you enjoying smoking a lot still.
I think it's what you said before. Is like you need to want something more.
Yeah. Nice.
Like yeah, for that month, like the reason I stopped for that month was because I felt like I was breaking trust with myself often, because I kept saying like I wanted to do things and I wasn't doing it, and I felt like I was establishing a relationship with myself that wasn't supportive. So it was kind of just like an affirmation for me of like, no, you can do whatever you want, like just do it for a month.
Nice. But what could be the other thing that excites you more than continuing smoking? Do you already have a feel? What could be that replacement?
I feel like it's service to other people in some form. I feel like that, like,
But can you not be of service while smoking?
yeah, but I think it comes down to an example thing, of like, it depends what example I want to set. And I feel like smoking and wanting my being to radiate something, I feel like they contradict in terms of what I know is obviously true, like is the highest that I can be in this life. Smoking just doesn't come into the equation there. So the real question is, why have I hesitated so far to just fully step into that?
Because this is new for me to hear. Because I thought actually like you thought that was possible to align those two. That would be really fully authentic yourself and be a smoker, and still by being so authentic, you can still be of service and helping other people.
Yeah.
You still have like an idea that you cannot be your highest expression if you're smoking. That's what you just said, right?
Yeah, I mean, both are true, yes, but for me, yeah, I think the real truth of it is that I don't see them fitting together. And that could be because it could be like a belief in the way or something like that. But at least where I'm sitting in this moment, it feels like it's a hindrance
Mm.
because it's a reliance upon something. It's a reliance upon something that you're chemically feeling like is giving you something.
Nice.
And to live in that way doesn't feel true. But then that's also debatable in my mind because you need food. You need what, but not even necessarily. You have people who just sip air for a living. But I don't know. I don't know. I've never actually met these people, so I can't say that that's
Me
true.
neither. No.
So for me to say that's true, is disingenuous.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm figuring that one out. It's an interesting journey. It's a really
'Cause
fascinating.
if that's really the case, if you really believe that those two cannot align together, then you should stop right now, right?
yeah, that's true.
Then you're lying to yourself by continuing
Yeah, I guess so.
or accepting yourself that you are.
No, well, I accept the
Being
fact that I'm addicted
untrue.
to it. It's an addiction for me. It's definitely something that's like it's. The thing is, for me, when it's a constant battle, like even that whole month was shit because I'm just constantly fighting with myself internally.
Uh-huh.
So it never goes away. So in that case, I guess, yeah, the desire of what's wanted more is either just, probably just not strong enough, not like as clearly felt.
Yeah, nice. So then it's cool to like re-evaluate your values, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for me, like the coffee thing. I stopped for a while as well, drinking coffee. But I started now again, even though it's like 2 a day. Because I was kind of clear on my values, and business is a clear value for me, and I really like the creative boost and the adrenaline and the productivity boost I get from coffee.
Mm.
So I kind of like value that more now than other values of, for example, being my most healthy self.
Are you saying that you aligned your value of coffee
Yeah.
to your work,
Yeah.
essentially?
Yeah.
Nice. That's interesting. Well, then it makes sense that you do that then.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
then it came like a relief for me, like I choose to drink coffee and also have like the negative benefits for my health
Mm-hmm.
in there because I have like a stronger value that's more important for me right now,
Nice.
which is the productivity in business.
Mm-hmm.
And you can debate if I stop coffee completely, that eventually will be more productive. But that's not the case right now.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing because you can align anything to your highest value. You can like that's the essence of being a human being is that your creative potential and you can perceive things in any way and link them in a way to fuel you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really a case of being an architect of your own psyche
Yeah.
and
So
how
that-
you line up.
So then the question is like, what is your highest value, right? So how you value including smoking, or is it not? And if the question is if you have like 3 values or 2 values that are most important to you, and smoking doesn't include in that, then you have to stop right now. But if it does include it, then don't
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
stop reading the book, for example. You know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I guess I feel like actually like I feel okay, this is actually how I feel it of like the not smoking is causing an internal conflict which is disturbing me from moving towards my highest value. Does that make sense?
say that again.
So when I don't smoke, it creates an internal conflict which distracts me away from my highest value, from doing what I want to do. But when I'm smoking, then it's not, the fight isn't there, so it's not a distraction. It's just like it's just a cigarette.
But
so
then another struggle arises when you're smoking, like another debate within yourself. Like
yeah, but it's less loud. So it's either way. It's almost like it's like the lesser of two evils, essentially. So now this is why I'm reading the book, because this is actually going towards my highest value, which is how do I end that war completely? Because yeah, that's just the biggest thing in the way. Because I notice if I stop smoking, I totally have to avoid like a lot of social situations because I feel like the social situation activates that craving, and then I can't really be with people either. because
Mhm.
I'm just thinking about having a cigarette the whole time because I feel like, oh, I can relax then in the social situation.
Yeah, but then is your highest value is clear, right? The highest value is more social stuff,
Yeah.
and the other benefits it gives you. So why stopping smoking then? If the highest value is smoke is being a part of it, because you say like your
Oh,
highest value
because yeah,
is getting rid of that like internal battle, but by accepting that it is your value and accepting that smoking is a part of that for now, then there's acceptance, right? And there's no battle anymore.
well, sure, yeah, because I don't find the battle at this moment, but that's
Yeah.
why I'm not like stopping smoking. But that's why I'm also still progressing on the path to completely alleviate it. So I feel like the path I'm on is moving me towards that, right? Because I don't have the battle internally, but I'm still making the progress towards that of yeah, freeing myself of that.
Cool. Yeah, it just feels
It's
like
a
you
funny
say
one.
like my highest value is not having an eternal battle, which can be happening right now by you accepting that for now your highest value is that
Yeah,
and social stuff, which can happen by acceptance of smoking is a part of that.
yeah,
So
for
actually
sure.
you can create like now your highest value
Yeah,
by just
exactly.
smoking.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about a lot. Like a problem I had before was feeling shameful about smoking, which I don't feel anymore. Um, but it's funny because what's intertwined with my highest value is social connection. And when I smoke, there's an alleviation from the battle so that I can stay focused on the social connection. But another part of the social connection, the reason that is to be an example of what's possible in a social connection and to be an example of bringing out the best in yourself. And I feel like if I'm really looking at the best in myself, smoking is not part of that story.
Mm.
So it's a funny kind of mix up going on there.
Mm.
This is the thing. This is the nuances of the psyche. Like you create these small beliefs, and then you fall into those patterns. And this is like part of the path of moving towards your highest value. Is that it's deconstructing all the things that are limiting you from completely shining.
Mm.
Like it's taking away all the layers, and it looks crazy. And sometimes there's moments of judgment, but I do feel an acceptance of it.
Mm.
But I know there's more to it than just because I don't mind smoking so much anymore, but it's not really what I want overall.
Mm. Yeah, so that's cool indeed. Like, so there's an acceptance, and there is like a natural desire, what we spoke about earlier, for the highest, which is fully shining without smoking, because then smoking is not really relevant anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
If like you're self-sort completely with every dopamine and relaxation, and if money is shining through you, then there's no smoking needed.
Okay, I've got to adjust to that a little bit.
You connect to your like deepest truth, the deepest self. Then you don't. Then everything is there, and there's like no external stuff is needed anymore, like cigarettes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get you. Okay, it's just an adjustment to now refer to God as money. So
Yeah.
that's nice. But yeah,
Yeah, funny
it's
one.
part of the process.
Um,
But nice. So now you feel at peace with your coffee drinking as well. Then sounds like
more, yeah.
nice.
And I do feel like there's still like because it's funny, like if I drink 2 or 3 coffees, then it's outside of my values. But if I just drink one, then it's inside. So it's not like
I quite like that. That's kind of cool that you set
Yeah.
these funny limitations. Nice.
So there is like still a distinction in there too, because I shouldn't use it just to pump myself up every time. It's more like the initial creativity boost and the focus I get from it, which can be done with just one. But if I overdo it, then it becomes a negative thing again. But it's true what you say as well, because it's quite a struggle to completely alleviate it or completely get rid of it, and that struggle is not helpful for my deepest values at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's similar for me too. And I don't want to go through that because it distracts me from my highest value. I don't want to go through the whole detoxing process because
Mm-hmm.
that's not my highest excitement at the moment.
Yeah, we sound a bit like addicts.
Yeah.
I want to stop being an alcoholic, but it's distracting me from my highest value if I stop. So
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Also, women who are pregnant and they can continue smoking, they say like, yeah,
yeah,
but if I stop, it causes more stress, and the more stress
and
causes
stress
more
on the baby. Yeah, yeah,
so
that's
it's better for
true.
me to
We've
just
like,
smoke.
I love how we've just justified our situation. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but
Listen, you
But
do
as-
what you do until you don't. Like,
yeah, and in the pregnancy, you're also like responsible for another being.
yeah.
Maybe also like kind of like difference the situation.
Well,
And
this.
being said, like coffee and yeah, cigarettes is pretty bad actually. No, never mind.
Fuck you, bro. But yes, you are correct. Yeah. But what I did notice is that because
Still
you
not-
were stopping coffee for a bit, and what was it? Yeah, I think something that helped me as well is that you said you were going to stop coffee, and I said, okay, cool, I'll stop cigarettes, and it made it easier to go through that process because I felt like there was the accountability there
yeah,
of like it's not really about me totally, it's also about you in a sense.
Yeah.
And from your point of view, maybe it didn't matter really at all, but like that supported me
Yeah.
in walking through that because it's like I hear a lot at the moment of like you don't really become a man until you're responsible for another person's life.
Nice.
So like being a parent is really like being a man in a sense.
Yeah, money.
Dude, I really got to adjust to that. It sounds cool though how you say it.
Cool, eh?
Oh, money.
Oh, that's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. So yeah, the accountability, the tribe connection is important in that for sure.
Yes.
And,
So it's actually selfish. It's totally for me as well. Like I need people to help me out because
Yeah,
I'm I'm weak, man. Like on my own, I'm not much.
yeah, and he did have like social connections a lot in that month, right? So it did. Maybe there's also belief that you couldn't have like good social interactions when you stopped smoking because you kind of were thriving in that period. I felt so.
How do you mean, sorry? You feel like I had more social interactions in that period?
I kind of felt you were very comfortable in social interactions when you stopped smoking. Did
Yeah.
you feel like you were isolated from social interactions, or you weren't comfortable, or something, or you were having too much anxiety in those social interactions? So it did feel like maybe like in your mind, it's very much connected.
Mm.
But maybe it's not as bad as you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
maybe
I
actually.
cannot look into your mind, of course.
No, it makes sense as well. I think it's because I was also just very vocal about it, and when you're just transparent and honest about what you're doing, it's the best way to connect to people.
Yeah.
Like I found this when I had a hard time over the past couple months with my girlfriend being away. Like I noticed I couldn't connect to anyone until I was willing to talk about it with the people around me, and then that bridged through. But that vulnerability is where you meet people because you don't connect to people with your head, with ideas and thoughts. You connect to them fully with your heart.
Yeah.
And yeah, in order to do that, you have to say what's on your heart. And for that month of not smoking, it was very much like, for fuck's sake,
Yeah.
I need a cigarette, but I'm not going to have a cigarette. But I'm not going to have one. But I really would love one right now. And that was, that kind of created another like playful thing to work with. So nice.
Yeah, so you can keep the play on the rest of your life, right? After 20
Forever.
years, like, I'm still smoking.
Yeah.
I love to smoke today.
I'll just be the grandpa on the seat. Just be like,
Yeah.
man, a cigarette would be fucking
I
great.
remember,
right
like, 2023, I had my last cigarette.
now.
So good.
Yeah. In 2023, cigarettes, they were so money.
Yeah, let's integrate that in our
Cool.
modern language.
Nice, cool. I'm curious to see the impact of that.
Oh, the jacuzzi is overflowing.
Is it? I think it's time for a dip, brother.
It is.
Nice.
Wrap it up.
Nice. Any final words? Money.
Yeah. I'm excited to keep going and keep following that fresh path that's in front of us.
Nice.
So yeah, anyone listening also, let's do this.
Yep, the doors are open.
That also. Yeah, dope stuff.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining, guys. If you joined. Yeah, and I think this is just nice for us to do regularly. It's a nice way to
Cool.
reevaluate shit.
Yeah, nice.
Alrighty.
Peace.
Peace. Hello and welcome to RD Made, the human cultivation center that offers you the space, resources, connections to enable you to become more of who you really want to be and create the things that you are excited to create. Sounding good so far? So if you're looking to host an event, workshop, hold business meetings, well then we not only got you covered, but we're here to help you help others experience what you're here to bring. Or maybe you're interested in our therapy room for, well, therapy. But maybe you're a masseuse or a coach and you need a space to help your clients. But what about our music room? Look at this, man. This is sick. We got in-house producers who are looking to help you with songwriting, producing, or if you just want to use the space for yourself to create whatever it is you want to create. And on top of that, we have our own in-house tailors currently working on a photo studio. We would be thrilled to house more ambitious individuals who are looking to collaborate and learn more about their craft. Our goal is to support you however we can in bringing out the best in you. Whether you want to host events for large groups of people, whether you want to collaborate with people to bounce ideas off of, or whether you just need a space to do your work privately, we have got you covered. So come and join our team at RD Made.